Okay, so I saw this piece on CNN, right? And it was talking about the gender pay gap in sport, right? And they were referencing tennis because that they say that has the smallest gender pay gap, right? And the things that it got right, which when you look at the money and all of that kind of thing, it does get a little squirrely in places. But then also, I mean, the article is not completely honest about everything it is saying, right? Which I do think is a little bit weird, right? So in 1973, the US Open was the first of the Grand Slams to offer same pay for women and men. Then, right, the Australian Open did the same in 85, but then they stopped, right? Then they stopped. And it wasn't until 2001 until it came back to equal pay. The French Open did it in 2006, and Wimbledon was the last in 2007. Now, I think something that is interesting is when it comes to a Grand Slam, there is a difference in time on court, right? So when there's sponsorship money is different, which was a big thing that was made. So they took figures from 2019. And in 2019, Serena Williams made 23 million in sponsorship, while Roger Federer made 93 million. I feel there's a lot of things that go into that, right? A lot of things go into that. And I think when you look at Grand Slams, in a Grand Slam tournament, men play more games, right? Yes, they play. So, wait, or sets. Sets. Yes, I think it's it. So yes, the men play best of 5 sets. Women play best of 3. And I think you're gonna play someone more for more time they'll be on court, which that makes sense. And I think you can, I think, like, pay the same, right? But pay via set. I mean, that's the fair way of doing it. Pay via set. You know what I mean? Because if you are playing 5 sets, obviously you're on more, so you're gonna get more pay, right? Which then you go, just have the women play 5 fucking sets, right? Just do that. And that's like, especially when you think about now, and people want to make these stupid comments and be like, there's no difference between the genders, right? Then have them play 5 fucking sets. Right, because I think in normal tournaments, everyone plays best of 3. But yeah, the Grand Slams is where you get the difference. Now, they want to say that, you know, there is many people watching women's sport as they do men's sport, which is a lie, right? It is a lie. Now, there are ways to improve that. And the system, the way everything works, is against, right? It is against I think, like, the visibility of a lot of the women's sports. But that's that's this weird way of going about everything, because when you look at things, right? So tennis is split, right? The men's game is organized by I think it's the Lawn Tennis Association, and the women is the WTA, right? Have them under one umbrella, right? Have them under one umbrella, playing the same tournaments, right? And then you just interchange it. You know what I mean? Have a men's game, women's game, men's game, women's game. Do it like that. You're having the visibility of the women's sport rise because it's happening in the same arena, right? It's happening in that same span. So people, because if the perception that women's is not as good, you're not going to have people that have that perception turn up to watch the women's, right? But if when you pay for your ticket, you get, you know, the games mixed up, you're going to watch those games, right? Or just have it being, right? You pay and you get two games, a men's and a women's game, right? Under your price, right? You're going to be like, I paid this money, I might as well watch the women's, which then it will increase the visibility, and you'll realize, oh, actually, boom, these players are pretty fly. These players are good, man. This game was fun, right? That helps, right? That sort of thing helps. When you look at football, the price of a football ticket is insane. So what do? Add a women's game, right? Add a women's game. You know what I mean? So you're paying all of this money. You're gonna turn up early or stay after to watch the other game, right? It just like it's not gonna be a avalanche, right? Not straight away. The stadium is gonna fill up at midday, and people watch the women's game, and then they stay for the men's game at 3. No, but you will notice a difference over time, right? Where people are actually, I've spent all of this money, I might as well turn up early, right? It's like when you go to a gig, you have the warm-up act, and there'll be times when people don't, but then there's other times when you turn up and it's packed for the warm-up act, right? And especially when they've advertised and promoted that warm-up act well, right? You look at the NBA, all of these different sports where it's under two organizations, it's all messy. But put them under one, right? If you go see the Knicks, you get the women's game before or after. Boom. Right? It improves everything. And you can say that because when you watch the UFC, right, the women's fights are intermingled throughout the card. Right? They're not all at the beginning or all on the prelims. No, women headline. Women make basically the same money. You know what I mean? Like, depending, it's all on your contract. But women headline. Women can make the same money as men. When you look at people like Amanda Nunes, Valentina Shevchenko, Ronda Rousey, Alexa Grasso, like top tier fighters. Because that's what it is. If you are top tier, if you perform, you get paid, right? So we see that model works. So if that model works, put it for the rest of the sport. Because when it comes to women in the UFC, the sponsorship is the same because the visibility is the same, right? People show up. People show up, right? And that's a big thing because when you have this, they do this weird thing, right? And they do it with the men's as well, with certain sports, right? But they will give tickets away. And a lot of times you will notice because it's kids, right? Because they give it to schools, they give it to groups like Scouts and Cubs and all of this bullshit. So you'll see a stadium, it might be full. It's not full from paying, you know what I mean, visitors. No, they've just ticketed it. They've given tickets away. So when you have these statements that, oh, as many people, they don't. They don't. not paying, not paying, right? But as I said, there is ways to improve it. So yes, there is a gender pay gap, but there are reasons for that. Now, it's not to say these are right reasons, but there are reasons, and the popularity, right, the viewership, there is a big difference. But as I said, there are these barriers in place that create those differences. There's ways around it, but we don't, like this CNN article. They don't talk about that shit, right? They don't talk about it. People always want to bring up the subject and be like, oh, there's this problem. It's so unfair. Bah, bah, bah. But no one ever says a solution. No one has a fucking solution, right? Nancy Lau in this piece said, I can't see a justification for paying anyone less when they're doing the same work, which is true. But if you are playing less sets, that's not the same work, right? It's not the same work, you know? We've another big thing, when women first got into MMA, right? The quality was different. Quality was clearly different, right? But here's a rub. I would say it was similar to the men's when that first started, right? That's the thing. When the men's game first started, it was brawling, right? You didn't see as much technical striking, technical kicking, proper game planning, right? Proper strategies, conserving of energy, all of this sorts of things. But as things evolved, now we see that. And when the women's MMA first started, it was similar to when men started. But now we see a huge difference, right? It's a huge difference. Not across the board, right? But at that top tier, people, it's legit, right? And so this is the thing. This is the thing. When you look at football and a lot of these other sports, there is a difference in quality. But you can improve it, like funding, training, like in football, soccer, they don't train at the same facilities, you know, change that. You know what I mean? Change that. Give people the same guidance, the same nutritional advice, these same opportunities. By doing these things, you improve the game. Improve the game, you improve the money. Improve the visibility, you improve the money. There's ways and means, but that's not talked about. So that's the change you need to make if you really want to have equal pay. It's as simple as that, people. You know what I mean?